welcome back to the TMBC Wake YouTube channel. If you haven't entered the surfboard giveaway yet, make sure to get over to that video and get yourself entered. I'll put a link right above me, I'll put a link in the description below, and I'll put a link at the end of this video. I'm getting closer and closer to 1,000 subscribers, and I'm getting really excited to draw a winner. Alright, so this video is going to be the 6th episode in the Wakeboat ownership series. And in this video, I'm going to talk about why wakeboats are so expensive. And I'm going to try to break it down in what I consider to be a logical and an economical way to help anybody who watches this video understand why wakeboats are priced the way they are and why they seem so expensive compared to a normal runaround boat. So in this video, I'm going to cover 4 main subjects. First, I'm going to talk about supply versus demand. Then I'm going to talk about NADA boat values and basically how that tool values a boat. And then I'm going to talk about how I determine my price that I'm going to list my boat for when I go to sell my boat. And lastly, I'm going to try to explain how I think manufacturers and dealers come up with the pricing on brand new wake boats. Alright, so let's start off by talking about supply versus demand. So in the end, any item in the world that is tradable is simply valued based on what somebody is willing to pay or trade for that item. For example, if company A produces product B and a particular person is looking for a product like product B, then that person is going to either think that product B from company A is either worth the price that that company A is asking for product B or not. And whether or not a person or people will pay that particular price for that product is going to determine whether or not that product B stays at that price. In the end, if a person like me is willing to buy a wake boat for $150,000, then that boat is worth $150,000. So from a simple standpoint, the supply being manufacturers making wake boats and being available at dealers, and the demand being the people who want to wake surf and wakeboard and ski or whatever it may be, if the demand or the people who want those wake boats are willing to pay a particular price for the supply, the wake boats, then that makes those wake boats worth the price that they're listed for. If nobody bought those wake boats, then either that company or manufacturer would go out of business or they'd be forced to lower their prices. So that's basic economics. And I could see that changing in the future, although I do think that wake boats in general, especially the top brands, are probably going to stay high priced and probably going to climb some more before they level off. So now let me take you down another path to give you a different perspective. I can't tell you how many times I've had people look at me or look at my boat or talk about boats in the wake boat industry and say, oh my God, that's like buying a house. Or basically have some sort of sticker shock wherein they realize what the price of a wake boat is and it blows them away. Let me make a comparison to cars. Let's take, for example, a Ford Explorer and compare that to a Range Rover. Both vehicles have the same simple function of being an SUV that gets you from point A to point B, but one is going to be your much more economical vehicle, much more economically priced, and have much more traditional features. And the other is going to have high performance engine, it's going to have luxury features, and the brand name itself calls for more money. That would be similar to if we were to compare, for example, a Glastron to a Malibu. One is much more economically priced and has much more traditional features. The other has high performance features, luxury features, and the name brand itself calls for more money. So that's all I want to say about supply versus demand, and that should kind of give you a basis of where the pricing comes from. The next thing I want to talk about is NADA.com and using your build sheet, if one is available, to help you determine what your boat might be worth today. Or if you're looking at buying a boat, you could use NADA.com along with the build sheet with the boat to help determine whether or not the seller is charging a fair price. Okay, so you can see that I am on www.nadaguides.com/boats. I'll click on Power Boats, and then I can select my make. Malibu boats. And then I can select my year, which is already selected as 2018, so that's the current year of my 24 MXE. Then I'm going to pick the model. And you can see there's 4 different options here. We've got the 450 or the 575, and then we've got the 450 saltwater and the 575 saltwater. So mine is the 450, not saltwater. Then it asks for zip code. So this is my zip code. I'm going to click continue. So then you get to the options page. So here I can add options if I need to. So if now I pull up my build sheet, so this is the build sheet for my 2018 24 MXE. You can see that here's everything that's building into my total. So from my understanding, the way that most build sheets work, and this could differ from manufacturer to manufacturer, but in most cases, everything you see on this build sheet that has money beside it, for example, my overfolded G4 tower with swimboard cover, $1,667, that means that that's how much extra was added to the MSRP of my boat because I added that specific option. And you can see that in the colors as well. So you can see that because I chose the Stratosphere Blue Metallic for the deck accent, it was a $1,083 upcharge. Now, if you were to take all the different items that have money beside them off of this build sheet, you'd be left with the base price and those options that come standard. An example of an option that comes standard would be the 14-inch aluminum wheels on the trailer. But you can see that a spare tire cost me $508 with the side carrier. So that being said, when you're on NADA and you go to Canvas, if your build sheet does not have an extra amount on it for your cover, then you should not pick cover here because it's already going to include those items that come standard as a valuation on NADA. But because I have an extra option cover, basically an upcharge cover, I would go ahead and choose that. Same with the Bimini. So if I look at my Bimini, it was an upcharge for this Bimini. It didn't come with a Bimini standard. So then I'm going to choose a Bimini top. There's nothing else in this section to choose. Then I get to electronics. I don't have battery charger, don't have autopilot, no depth sounder is standard. GPS, I don't have that. So that pretty much there's nothing in this range that I would add because there's nothing in here that matches up with an option that I would add on. So then I get to entertainment. So you can actually see on my build sheet that I did add the sound system, subwoofer, and I have speakers on the tower. But in this case, it would just be the sound system and the subwoofer, which NADA doesn't come close to valuing because it's valuing, for example, you can see here, just with 4 speakers, which there are 8-inch speakers that come with the normal sound system. So we'll talk about that a little later in detail. But for now, I'm going to choose this because I do need some sort of value there. There's nothing else in this section that I need. I shouldn't need anything from the fishing section. There's nothing on my boat that is for fishing. So I'm going to do galley. And again, nothing in this section that applies to a wake boat. Same with jet drive. Shouldn't need anything from the jet drive section. Now we go to miscellaneous. So I do have the dual batteries with a switch. Let's take a look here. And I do have battery setup option 3. So I am going to choose that. Then we have cockpit heaters. So I do have a 3-outlet heater right here. So I'm going to add that. I also have docking lights, which I saw next. So I'm going to choose cockpit heater, docking lights. Now I took my surf pipe off. Otherwise, I'd probably choose exhaust silent choice. If I was basing it off of the build sheet, it does say surf pipe on here. But again, I changed that, so I'm not going to put that on here. So one of the things that NADA doesn't have is it doesn't have anything for sea deck. So usually what I do here is I'll do the vinyl snap out just to give me some sort of evaluation. And you'll see on the build sheet that was an upcharge, which is right here. Okay. Now it did come with the swim deck, but it's not an upcharge for the swim deck, so I'm not going to put that on here. It does have a power wedge, and that is an upcharge. It's not standard. So I am going to put trim tabs hydraulic and also trim indicator. This isn't a jet ski, so I'm not going to do anything under personal watercraft, nothing under pontoon, but this is a ski boat, so I'm going to go under there. So cruise control comes standard. My boat does not have an extended pylon. It doesn't have a permanent ski pylon. I do have a shower, hot and cold, that was an extra option. And I did add wakeboard racks, which were quite expensive. As you can see, here's the price of one additional rack, $2,200. So we'll add that. I did do the upgraded tower, so I'm going to add that. If you had the G3.5, it would be standard, but G4 is not standard. Almost 10 grand there. I do have lights that came with that tower, and then I have tower speakers I added, and I also added the extra ballast pieces. So you can see here, I've got the bow ballast, I've got the plug and play. Those are upcharges. So I'm going to add those pieces there. The thing that's not great about NADA is that it does not give you all the options that are possible on any wake boat. So you do what you can with what they have there. Then when we get to the next step, we're on trailer now. So I just choose the same year of boat that I have for the trailer. My trailer is a triple axle. That does make a difference. And the length of my trailer from the tip of the tongue to the very end of it is around 27 feet. Now, I don't have custom wheels. I do have a spare tire and carrier. That was more money. So I think that's the only thing on this list. So now what I'll do is go to the final step here. It shows me a value. In my experience, this suggested list price is pretty dang close to what you should list your boat for. Now, we could go back to my build sheet and we can find all kinds of things on this build sheet. You know, the Wakeview bench, it's $2,500. The backup camera, it's $450. The power lift seat, you know, just tons of options that are not being realized by NADA. So 2 things about that. First of all, even though it's showing you this low retail price, which should really be the bottom dollar you get for your boat, but this low retail price doesn't take into consideration all those extra options. So you can go to the top here where the base price is, you know, minus out all the different options. You can take that number and divide it by this number right here, probably this number plus this number, and now you have basically a percentage that you could apply to all of those options on the build sheet to try to come up with a figure at the end. And the easiest way to do that is take the entire total and multiply it times that from your build sheet. So I could just multiply this times 201,191. And that gets me to a rough number of where I maybe should list my boat based on how NADA is valuing it today. Or it gives me an idea of whether or not the seller is asking a fair price for their boat. But keep in mind, the market dictates what your boat is worth. And in a lot of cases, there's going to be a lot of people who don't think that the extra options that you think were worth the extra money when you purchased the boat brand new are going to be worth it to them. So in other words, even though you got all these extra options, generally those aren't going to help value your boat more when it comes time to resell. So that's all I wanted to show you for NADA and using a build sheet to kind of help try to value a boat you're trying to buy or a boat you're trying to sell. Now I'm going to share with you what I typically do when I go to try to sell a boat. So when I'm trying to sell a boat, I'm typically going to go out to 2 different websites and I take a look at the boats that are listed on those websites that are most similar to mine, and I look at a specific radius of miles, and essentially what that's going to tell me is that I could obviously buy that boat for what they have it listed for. So that tells me that, you know, if there are other boats out there that are very similar to mine, same make and model, for example, and similar options, and it's listed for example, 135, I'm probably not going to do very well listing my boat for 140,000 if somebody can get essentially the same boat for 135, unless it's a big preference in color. Okay, so the 2 websites that I use are boattrader.com and onlyinboards.com. Most importantly, I think boattrader.com is probably the most seen or most used websites for boat sales out there today, just based on responses I've received on boats that I've sold in the past. So here what I'll do is type in Malibu, and I'm basically going to do this as if I'm going to list my 2018 24 MXE. And generally what I'll do is I'll do somewhere between 500 and 1,000 miles because people will travel that far to buy a boat. And I'm just going to use my location. I'll do a search. This is going to do a very broad search, but then I'm going to filter it beyond that. So here I've got my filters on this side, and I'm going to set my year to 2017, and then 2018 is my max. The reason why I'm choosing those years is because 2017 and 2018 were very similar. Not much changed in between those 2 years. But when you go to 2019, they did a whole new G10 tower and a whole new engine setup. So it wouldn't be quite comparable to a 2019. Although if a 2019 was listed for less than a 2018 with the same options, then chances are somebody's going to buy that 2019. So it's not to say that you maybe shouldn't take that into consideration. So now I'll also choose 24 MXZ. And I only find one boat out here that's very similar to mine, and it's listed for $134,999. Couple things about this. This appears to be a brand new boat from a dealer. So it has the brand new part of it going for it compared to my boat. I can immediately tell that it doesn't have some of the options that I have. It doesn't have the bimini that my boat has. It doesn't have the extra set of wakeboard racks. But again, those may not be important things to certain people. It does have the supercharged engine, whereas mine does not. That could be a big factor. You know, there's a lot of people out there that really want that supercharged engine. For me, I'd rather have the fuel efficiency where I can still push all the weight that I want to push. So that could be a big factor. But in the end, I could sit here and analyze this particular boat for days. My quick analysis is that I should not list my boat for the same price or above this boat I should list mine below this boat. So now let's take a look at inboards. We can basically do the same thing here. The thing about only inboards is you're not going to find all kinds of boats out there. So it's not as convoluted with all kinds of runabout boats, fishing boats, ocean boats, just things that if you're looking for a wake boat, this is a very much more focused site. Although I still have not experienced great results from this site. I've sold boats both on Boat Trader and only inboards, and I don't get near as many results from only inboards. But it's still a great place to look to base your pricing off of, because I can still go out here and look at boats that are listed, and based on what they're listed for, I know that I could buy it for that, because obviously somebody would take the price that they listed the boat for. So again, I'm going to look at 2017, 2018. I'm going to look at 59106. And I forgot to change my area. I'm going to go ahead and do 750 miles on this one. And there's only 2 boats out here. Both which, again, I can immediately tell do not have the options my boat has. Neither one of these boats has the triple axle trailer. And these are both 2017 boats. And again, I could sit here and analyze these for a long time. But chances are I should probably list my boat for somewhere in between the 2018 I showed you and these 2017s, because that's where the price is kind of sitting for boats that you could buy right now. You know you could get it for that price. Okay, so that pretty much takes care of showing you how I typically determine what I should list my boat for. Now I want to talk about how I believe manufacturers and dealers determine their price. Manufacturers can typically gain an idea of what they can sell their boat for based on how they've sold boats in the past, and again going back to supply and demand, and what they've gotten for those boats and what new features they're coming out with and how that's going to add to their value. So they're basically setting what's referred to as an MSRP, or a manufacturer suggested retail price. They then sell those boats to dealers at invoice or dealer cost, just like cars and trucks. And without knowing those figures, you have to understand that for dealers to exist, or those companies that are going to be selling you boats to exist, they have to make money. So obviously those manufacturers are going to sell those dealers boats for basically a wholesale price, which gives the dealer a margin so that they can make money. Now, in my experience of buying new boats, and I've bought 3 new boats so far, 3 brand new wake boats, I believe, depending on brand and several other factors, generally the sale price compared to the MSRP is going to be anywhere from 100% down to 80%. And that's all going to depend on several factors. For example, if you right now were working with a dealer and designing your own 2020 Malibu, chances are you're going to be paying somewhere between 85 and 100% of MSRP. I would imagine rarely people are paying 100% MSRP. In most cases, you're going to get some sort of discount off of that, whether it be boat show rebates, end of year rebates, Labor Day rebates. I've seen those different types of rebates across the year. Let's say you go to a dealer and you look at their current inventory, and it just so happens they have a brand new 2019 still on the lot. Well, chances are you're going to get that for less than a 2020, so you might be paying more in the range of 80 to 90% of MSRP. And obviously the best deals out there on brand new boats are when a dealer gets in a particular bind, or they just feel like they need to free themselves of inventory, and they have, for example, a 2018 and we're now in 2020, and they need to get that thing off their lot, and they list it for their cost. Now, I don't know exactly what that figure is, but chances are it might be even lower than 80%. So I would say if you're going out to buy a brand new wake boat, you're getting a good deal if you're somewhere below 90% of MSRP. So if we were to take my 2018 24MXZ, for example, and I did that calculation. You get $181,000. Now, I'm not going to tell you exactly what I paid for my boat because I do believe that there are certain things that should be kept confidential. But I will tell you that I didn't pay quite this much. I got a better deal than this. Again, I think that you would be getting a good deal buying a brand new boat if you are below 90% of MSRP. And also keep in mind, you can see there's these dealer add-ons for $3,400. And what that is freight and prep. The only way you're going to avoid freight is if for some reason the dealer allows you to go pick it up from the manufacturer yourself. And I don't think there's too many dealers out there that are going to allow that because they want to see that boat first in case there's anything they need to fix on it before they give it to you. There could be just parts that they need to put on, for example, racks, mirror, things like that. There could be some gel coat flaws that they need to fix before they give that boat to you. There's several factors of why they're probably not going to let you go straight to the manufacturer and pick up your boat. So you're generally always going to be paying freight. And then you have prep. So prep is going to be installing those racks, installing the mirror, installing batteries, installing anything that didn't come from the manufacturer. Also, it's going to include water testing, making sure, for example, if the boat was manufactured in the winter, it's going to be winterized when it gets shipped. So they're gonna basically de-winterize it, try it out, make sure everything's functioning properly, and that's going to be included in prep. So everybody's going to pay those amounts. All right, so that's all I have for this video. I hope some of that information helped you. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up. Also, please leave comments and let me know your ideas and your thoughts on how wake boats are valued. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe and click that notifications bell so you can be notified of my future videos. I'll see you next week.